My name is Devon Daley. I was born in 1962. Why am I in Derby? Because my parents decided to settle in Derby. My grandfather came here in the early 50s and the rest of the family on my mother's side came over one by one, and my dad came in the early 60s, met my mum, and the rest is history, as they say. I work a lot in radio and I've been doing that for a few years now, and it came about really as a result of me being a young boy working in a shop on a Saturday whilst doing my main job as an apprentice. And one day somebody came into the shop and said they wanted someone to come on the radio and play what was called at the time jazz funk, which was kind of the music of the day. And I said, yeah, I can do that, no problem. So I went in, did a show, they liked it, and stayed there doing it for 5 years. Well, I remember at school they used to say something like, oh, it's Devon Dictionary, because I always used to like using big words, and I liked English, and I think journalism was something I did talk about as a 14, 15-year-old that I'd like to perhaps do. But eventually it was quite a few years after leaving school before I got back into journalism, or into journalism I should say, because I left school at 16 and did an apprenticeship for 5 years with what's now Rolls-Royce, and then after that I kind of combined work in radio alongside my apprenticeship work until when I left engineering, I decided it was time to actually try and follow the passion which I'd had for music and media. Whenever I ask that to artists on the radio, I'm always expecting them to come out with something really profound. So now I've been asked the question, who inspires me? I'm not going to come out with anything profound. I'm just going to say my children, when I wake up in the morning, they inspire me because I feel I have to make sure that I try and make a difference so that things are a bit, not easier, but as good as they can be for them. I think the way that the world we live in works is that if you see people every day who are sharing their stories with you and you're on the radio, it helps you to be able to feed some of that into the show. And so I think certainly from starting off doing DJing, I got to meet a lot of people in Derby and developed a nice contact base. The community in Derby is quite interesting because certainly when I was growing up, I found that time spent as a young boy with people in the area I lived in, which was originally near the baseball ground, actually meant that you got to understand a lot about a lot of different faiths and different communities. And so it was quite useful seeing people from different parts of the world in close proximity to get to know that, people were different, but not that different actually. The past is the past, and I think we all yearn for that nostalgia about, oh, back in the day we used to do this and it was great. And it was great, but the dinosaurs didn't survive because they didn't adapt. So I think the things that I would like to see transferred from the past to the present basically is people understanding that if you help your neighbour, you may not get the help back from your neighbour, but somebody else in your community is going to hear that you've helped somebody, and it might inspire them to do that same bit of help. Community is collectivism.